Hi everyone. So I did promise you that I would make a couple of short videos to help you with your exam 3. Um, and this is important because it's worth 16% as stated on the syllabus, which is quite a bit. So I want it to be as prepared as possible. I want it to be sort of, equipped because it's going to be challenging. So I wanted to sort of give you the best opportunity to do well. All right. Um, Now, bear in mind, the class average will be set at 82.5%. And chances are the class may exceed the average as has happened in test 1 and test 2. Yeah, I didn't actually move the average because the promised average was already achieved by the class, right? Because people did pretty well, in both tests. All right, but yeah, test 3 will be challenging. You have a week to do it. You have 2 attempts, and you will do pretty well if you study the material in test 3 resources, right? So make sure to look at the material in test 3 resources. All right, the questions which are going to be different on this test are what I call the sort of multi-layer multiple choice questions, meaning there are 3 parts, whereas there's normally 2. In these questions, you're faced with 3 parts. The first part, as is usually referred to in education circles, is called the STEM. The STEM, corresponds to all of the responses. And essentially, you want the response which best matches the STEM, right? Now, if you look down here, you're seeing the responses, right? And typically in the ordinary multiple choice question, you just have the responses. Now, there's something I need to also mention here, and that is in education circles, multiple choice questions are divided into the STEM, which is highlighted here in blue, and the response, the correct response, as well as the distractors. I won't say which is the correct response yet, but essentially you have 4 distractors and 1 correct response. All right. Okay. So why is it called a distractor? Well, if you think about it, we're giving the answer to you when we give you a multiple choice question, and so to preserve an element of difficulty, to sort of preserve a degree of difficulty, we have to make it a little bit challenging, right? And so we do and so we distract you with responses which seem like they could be correct, but are actually incorrect. Now you have to understand something about distractors. They can be right, but not correct. And this sounds a little bit contradictory, but understand what I'm trying to say to you here. A statement can be correct in and of itself, but it may not match the STEM. It may not explain the STEM, or it may not best explain the STEM. Okay, so for example, you may say that Georgia is warm because it is a southern state. Now, it is in fact warm, and it is in fact a southern state, and the fact that it is a southern state explains why it is warm. If I said that Georgia is warm because it's a northern state, then the warm is correct. The northern part is right. And so, Georgia is warm because it's a northern state would not be correct in its entirety. There is a flawed part of it. And this typically is what you're looking for in order to get the incorrect responses. You're trying to find what about it makes it incorrect or incomplete or not the best response, right? And so you have to understand what it is you're trying to do when you're answering a multiple choice question, right? Okay, let's say I said that North Dakota is cold because it's a southern state. Well, North Dakota is cold, but it's not a southern state. So that part of it makes it incorrect. Now, I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to say North Dakota is cold because it starts with the letter N. Well, North Dakota is cold and the name does start with the letter N. But here's the problem. The name of the state has no bearing on whether it's warm or cold, right? And so typically, you're trying to eliminate the incorrect responses. You're trying to eliminate the distractors. The distractors are distracting because they are attractive. They distract you from the correct response because there are elements of the distractor which seem attractive, right? And so you have to avoid these attractive aspects of it and find the thing that makes it flawed. All right, wonderful.